Well, welcome back. It's good that we can share some time together again. So many of my videos have revolved around me messing around, for lack of a better term, inside older Mac computers, trying to get them to run to their optimum and perform as well as they can in our modern world. Uh, Today, I'm going to mess around inside an operating system and see what I can learn with that. Now, you may look back on my videos where I try to install macOS 10.3 Panther on an iMac G5 from 2005, which should not be able to run Panther. I've managed to get it working pretty well. The difficulty now is that the fans ramp up. So I'm going to try to hack the operating system to keep the fans from ramping up. Now, the beauty of doing this is that, of course, these machines are not mission critical. The worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to completely break that installation. So what? I've got it cloned anyway. I can just clone it back over if I want. And I know that I'm going to learn quite a bit about operating systems and how they work in the process. So I hope you'll find this interesting. You'll take a moment to join me. I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing. I think it'll be a little easier to do that when we're actually looking on the screen of the machine in question, the 2005 iMac G5. So stay tuned. Okay, the reason for the unusual angle here is to get the built-in microphone as close as possible to the computer itself. I've been using it for maybe an hour and a half, a little bit of light web browsing. I use NeoOffice to type up a rather lengthy recipe, and the machine has been this quiet right along. You can hear more noise coming from the highway ramp behind us here than you can hear from the computer. Now, when I went to send the recipe, I fired up 10-4 which I'll do now. Takes a bit to load. This does stress the machine some. Now, when I was actively writing and sending the email, yeah, I did hear the fans ramp up some. I was hoping to capture that. Let's try WebKit. And I'm going to mute the sound. Try and find the darn button. There we go. I'm just going to open a random YouTube video. Doesn't really matter what it is. Now when it starts, but this happens to be an It's My Natural Color video. Now the fans have kicked up just a little bit, but you may very well not notice it. Okay, bye Tom. All right, now we are going to reboot the machine into Panther, which I have cloned over onto the internal solid state drive, and give you an idea of what it sounds like under those circumstances. So stay tuned. All right. I've had Panther up, I fired up a beginning of Oregon Trail on Classic just to have something going. For about 2 minutes, it was dead quiet. Now the fans have ramped up. Now just listen to that. They are on full, and it will just stay this way. Now, I'm not doing anything super strenuous to the computer. Oregon Trail is a very simple game. It shouldn't be stressing things, but it doesn't matter. I could have nothing running at all. This would still happen. So I cannot imagine that there's any kind of true heating problem going on. What we have to do is something to try to control the fan speed. Now, I was hoping to find something in the order of SMC fan control that would run on Panther. I have been totally unsuccessful. SMC fan control runs on Intel only. There is a version that will run on Tiger, but nothing before that, of course, because it's all PPC. Mac's fan control is much the same thing, Intel only. So my only thought as to how to proceed here is to try to hack the OS. And in order to do that, I'm going to boot back into Leopard and try to explain what's going on in a little bit greater detail. So stay tuned. Okay, we're booted here into Leopard, of course, but I've opened up the files for Panther. In reading about this, this was evidently a known problem back in the day. I don't remember it happening, but users of 2004 iMacs found when the update for 10.3.8 came out, one shy of where it ended up, 10.3.9, there was this problem of the fan speeds ramping up. Now, one suggestion involved editing a text file, and another suggestion was replacing a text file. All right, so I realized that there are a fair number of people watching these videos who know very much what I'm talking about, probably better than I do, for that matter. However, I also know there are people who watch these videos who are otherwise quite computer literate and have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, what is a text file? Text is an abbreviation for kernel extension, and it has, the suffix of .text. Now, what the heck is that? The kernel is a program that operates at the basis of the operating system. The kernel fundamentally controls the entire operating system. The kernel extensions basically extend the operating system to control various aspects of the computer and hardware, for example. Now, in this case, we're talking about the texts, kernel extensions, that allow the kernel to control the fans. Now, the text files are located here in System, Library, Extensions. All right. Now, the one suggestion I heard was to make an edit in applefan.text, which would make some sense. Now I'm going to control click on that, and show package contents. Look in the contents. What the suggestion was to edit the info.plist. Okay, now down here, now what is a plist? Plist stands for, depending on who you read, either property list or preferences list. There are plist files all over the operating system. One example, a preference change that many people make when they're first setting up an OS X computer is to go into System Preferences and change the mouse scrolling from natural scrolling to disable natural scrolling, because natural scrolling doesn't feel natural. When you do that, this works, say, if you've got a Magic Mouse. I'm using an old Apple Pro mouse here, so that doesn't matter. But yeah, I would always go in and disable natural scrolling. What that does is to write a line of code into the plist file for the mouse that tells it to do that, to not use natural scrolling. Okay, now this line here under array and all of the integers, all of these numbers are setting the temperatures at which the fans will start to kick in. Now, the suggestion I was reading was this was the guy who actually wanted the fans to kick in sooner. So he was changing these numbers to lower the temperatures. Now, if I were going to do this, which I'm not, I would change those numbers to raise the temperatures to keep the fan from going. The thing is, I don't think that's really what's going on. So I'm going to close out of that. And we'll close out of that. All right, now give me a second here. Okay. Another suggestion. Let me see if I can find it here. Yes. Apple ADM 103x.kext. Now, this suggestion from back in the time just after 10.3.8 came out was to remove this file and replace it with the same exact file from 10.2 Jaguar, which worked fine. It wouldn't ramp up the fans. Now, I could certainly do that. I have, my Sawtooth has got a working Jaguar, so I could get the file from there and put that on. But it occurred to me, perhaps the thing to do would be replace it with a newer operating system kext file. Say the one from Leopard here. That might work even better. We know that in Leopard, the fans are not ramping up, so maybe that will work. Now, this is a very small slice, kind of the a look into the process that a genius like DOS Dude 1 follows. A lot of what makes his patchers work is replacing various kext files with kext files taken from earlier macOS versions, so to get around things that aren't going to work on older hardware. Anyhow, I'm going to try doing just this. First thing I'm going to do is take this kext file and make a copy of it on the desktop. Now I'm going to change the name of it just to Panther Kex, just so I don't get this all mixed up. Okay, having done that, let's move this to the trash. And that's me reaching around again. Let me try that again. Okay, so that's gone. Now we go into Leopard, System, Library, Extensions, and we're looking for Apple ADM 103.kext. Here it is. Just going to drag this over. Okay, and I was afraid that would happen. I can't move. So we authenticate, and bang, there it is. Okay. Let's arrange them by name so it goes down into the right place. Apple ADM 103x.kext. Now that's the kext file taken from Leopard, which has replaced the original one that was within Panther. So now, having done this, we're going to reboot into Panther and see what happens. I have no clear idea. It might just refuse to load the extension, just refuse to start, and that'll be that. It might boot up, and then the fans will ramp up. It won't make any difference. But let's at least see. All right. Well, it appears to be booting up. Now, if it doesn't work, I can always go back, having backed up the file, and go back into Leopard and recopy the original kext file back into place. And if that still doesn't work, I can always just reclone it over there. Or reinstall Tiger. I might do that too. Well, it's booting up. Well, at the very least, we know that I haven't broken anything. So it does generally take a couple of minutes for the fans to ramp up again. Therefore, I'm going to end this clip here and give it a little bit of time to see what happens with the fans. Stay tuned. And it accomplished nothing. All right. Now I could go back into the Sawtooth, get the kext file from Jaguar, and see if that does anything. But interesting to note that while it didn't fix anything, it at least didn't hurt anything. All right. So, hang in there with this. We may come up with something else yet. Well, this is interesting. I was looking into the energy saver system preferences, looking to reset the processor speed from automatic to reduced, but evidently Panther doesn't have that. But I'll be darned if the fans didn't kick back down. All right, so maybe I'll go back and play some Oregon Trail again and see if they stay down. Maybe, gosh, maybe moving that text file did do something. Nope, here they go up again. But at least it's different. Yeah, I'm going to try getting the text file off of Jaguar and off of Tiger and see if either of those does an even better job. I don't know. It did do something. Well, like I keep saying, stay tuned. Well, I did one other thing. I unchecked wait for Ethernet network administrator access and allow power button to sleep the computer. As soon as I unchecked wait for Ethernet network administrator access, the fans went back down. Huh. How about that? Well, like I say, stay tuned. Well, I guess we'll have to chalk that one down to coincidence since, they kicked right back up again. But, I mean, there are differences going on here. Yeah, before I changed the text file, it would just ramp up and stay up and not go off at all, no matter what. Now at least they will ramp down, then ramp back up again. So something's happening. All right, I got to still work with this, I guess, so hang in there with me. Well, this is the second effort. I've tried putting in the Tiger text file. And again, same exact behavior. Couple of minutes of blessed quiet, then the fans ramp up to high. Now what I don't know is, are they going to stop again the way they did with the Panther text? I really don't know. But the next major trial will have to be with the Jaguar text. Stay tuned. Weirdest darn thing, I have no idea what it means, but it really seems that when the fans kick up, if I go into System Preferences Energy Saver options and toggle things on and off, they quiet back down again. Well, only for a couple of minutes, then they come right back up. I have no real idea why that should be happening, but it's interesting to note. I think at this point, the best thing to do is to go back and take one more try with the Jaguar text. So hang in there. Nope, couple of minutes it seems to be, and this is with the Jaguar text. So one thing I didn't do was to go through and compare those two text files and see what kind of differences there might be, but it doesn't really matter because all three of them behave exactly the same way. Now I'm just curious to see if this one is what would happen with the Tiger text file anyway. And yeah, it actually happened with Leopards too. I'd go into options and toggle something off. There it happened. The fan quiets down again. Now, it's going to start up again in a couple of minutes, so it's a way of temporarily calming it down. So, obviously, this is a failed experiment. I'm going to give it a few days here. See if I come up with anything in further research. And please, if anyone out there seeing these videos has any thoughts as to how we could possibly get this to work, that would be great. I mean, it does work. The other thing I've noticed is that the sound appears to be dysfunctional. None of that really matters. Assuming we can't do anything about this, and I haven't given up on it yet. There go the fans again. And click an option, it goes back down. I will probably just end up wiping the drive, reinstalling Tiger and OS 9 for Classic, and leaving it at that. That's probably the most sensible thing to do. So we got to put this one down as a failure, but it's been an interesting experiment, to me at any rate, and I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this. Yeah, I even tried leaving the system preferences window open once I toggled it, but no, it'll come back on again. So, in any event, I've had fun doing this, and as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. Be good to other people. Be good to yourselves. Take very good and careful care, and we'll have some different things very soon.